No, we're just getting right fucking into it because it's season 2, bitch.
It is season 2. The non-planned season 2.
Season 2, everyone.
Happy season 2. A very unplanned, unannounced season 2.
Y'all should have just seen what we just went through. But we're not going to talk about it because
Yeah, we can't bring the vibes down. We went through some
I'm still sweating from that.
technical difficulties that won't happen again after today.
Shit. No, they will not. I don't know. Something was just keeping us back from doing this.
I'm convinced.
But anyway,
that
now I'm ready for this.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm convinced there's like one
So
little
ready.
tiny thing that one of us is missing, as to why it wouldn't work. But anyway.
Anyway,
Hi everybody.
I missed you. This is like
I know, it's so
we
weird.
haven't recorded in so long.
In a month.
Like what, 3 weeks?
Today.
Yeah, that's so crazy.
I know.
That's so crazy.
And it's
We
funny
were
because
just in person together.
right. Like I don't feel like I haven't talked to you, but recording is a very different vibe.
It's so different.
It's very different. We come into a conversation like knowing what we're going to talk about. The rest of our conversations are like 8 different conversations at once.
Literally.
What was that one meme recently? And it was like, sorry, I'm having 4
I-
different conversations with you on 4 different platforms, but I couldn't get my point
No,
across
it was like
any other way.
I would really appreciate it if we could have 3 different conversations on 3 different platforms. Thank you. Which we do. We're so excited about today's episode.
Oh my God,
because
so
these
excited.
are everybody's favorites. I think it's our favorite too, but you know, just another hot takes, spicy takes on social media management and what you shouldn't be doing and what these guru professionals are telling you to do. And just, you know, our fucking 2 cents that nobody asked for, as always.
Nobody asked for it. Everybody wants it.
Okay, let's
I'm just
go.
kidding. I saw somebody
They do.
recently, like in their bio, it straight up said Instagram guru. And I was like, that's an ick. Like, that's an ick. And it's so funny.
Like
'cause,
nobody says that either anymore.
Oh.
I think other people just call other people that, but I swear I haven't even seen anybody call themselves a guru in so long.
I'll literally send you the screenshot of it because it gave me the ick. And I was like, oh, okay. But like once you see their content, it's like, oh yeah, like you're definitely somebody who would call yourself a guru for sure.
The next game we need to play is like posting stuff on our story or like updating our bio, or we have to drink like a shot of, I almost said crystal meth, Everclear.
Okay, well, we're not taking it that far. I know we both drink a lot of caffeine, but I draw the line somewhere.
Oh my god. Oops. Yeah, I mean, like we put it in our bio, like social media guru. Or, like,
I dare you.
Scale to 100 figures.
We need to do like a competition, and whoever loses,
That'll get us real drunk.
right?
Anyway,
Anyway,
I miss this.
I know. I'm excited
Anyway,
for
let's get into it.
our bitching today.
Yeah, same. As always, you know, take what we say. Don't get offended. Or do. If you're doing this shit, be offended and change your ways.
Yeah, we call you out with love. It's never
Yeah.
to be mean. We just want the best for everybody. Veronica already jumped the gun and
Yes.
made a TikTok about one of these that really gets us fired up. So
Yes.
I feel like you had your like warm up.
Yes. I did. I was ready to go. And I'm like, okay, this got me a little pregame, you know?
A little pregame
bit of a
bitching.
pregame. So yeah, let's get into it. So our first point being
All of them. All of the above. Everything. Everything that you're doing,
Which
that
ones do I
I'm
wanna
doing.
go into
Hate it
first?
all. I know, pick one. Yeah, we have our list. Just pick, fucking dive right in. Water's great.
Yeah, I think we can just go on the top of our list is the engagement that you expect for a conversion post versus a brand awareness post is not the same. And we'll go into this too because a lot of people, obviously, some people don't understand what each piece of content is. They're just uploading content, just to upload content. They think it's your 5 pillars are entertain, educate, inspire. And that's just
Gag
not
me.
the reality of it. Yeah, we've already talked about this in a previous episode, but
Yeah. I mean, it's... I have like 30 different things I want to say, but I feel like I always
Same, and
cut
I'm
you
like-
off from this.
I don't want to start because I already said enough. I already need to stop speaking.
No. One of like the best examples that I can think of with this is like I have a client who our funny reels always do well. Like always. And like not to take all of the credit for that or anything because it's their employees that are showing up on camera, but
yeah,
I just know when we do these like funny trending audios, the engagement on them is going to be crazy because the point of us using them is for people to feel seen. Like one of the best comments that we get on those types of reels are when people are like, "Oh my God, I feel attacked," like in a nice way.
like literally me. Yeah.
But then when we post, you know, the monthly promo, it's very much less engaged, but it's not because one of them is more important than the other. Like the funny trending audios are very much what's bringing the awareness and what makes people be like, oh, like, you know, that business is doing things a little bit different. Like I don't see any other businesses like them in Charleston kind of doing stuff like that. And if they are trying to, they suck at it. We're the only good ones. But
Literally though.
their promos, it's like, again, you know, there's definitely ways you can make your promotional content be engaging, but like for us, it's as simple as like we just want it to be a pinned post on the profile for the month. Like everybody knows, you know, if you want to see what the monthly special is, it's pinned in the top left. But the engagement on them is very, very different. And every piece serves a purpose. So I never look at that and I'm like, oh, wow, like we can't
We should do that.
Like we can't post our promotional content because it doesn't get good engagement. Because like even, I don't know, let's say like on average, the funny reels get like 200 to 300 likes. Not that this is the only number to like ever measure things on, but like the promotional content will get 100 if we're lucky. And it's like, even if, you know, 20% of those people, that's 20 new people taking advantage of this promo. So like just because the engagement ratio is down to what our like funny content gets, I don't look at it as a failure. Like it's serving its purpose, but I feel like so many people expect their promotional content to do just as well as their brand awareness content, and you just can't, because not everybody's in that buying place. Like not everybody that sees that is ready to commit, or a lot of the people that interact with our brand awareness are people that are already using that business. I feel like that's just like a giant brain dump. But like best example I can give is like I have a client who very much has like a huge difference between their brand awareness and their promotional content, but the promotional content still does its job.
Yeah, and you're not doing like 80% promotional. Like it is serving a purpose, and you still obviously have to promote your business and talk about your business and what you're doing, but also not everyone's going to engage on social media. Like a lot of I don't comment on a lot of businesses' pages, but I still follow them, and if I see something like a link in their story to book something or like a promotion that they're having, I'll just go to the website or I'll just click on the link and I'll go buy it. I'm not going to comment on it like something, because it doesn't, what do I really need to comment when you're showing me your promotion? Like, okay, I either want it or I don't want it, and I'm either going to buy it or I'm not. And I don't need to comment on everything. And there's so many silent buyers. It's actually insane on social media. Like, even take like our accounts. How many people have messaged us and been like, I have followed you for years. Can I join your course? Can I join this? Can I do that?
But never
like,
commented on a single thing.
But never. I've never seen so many people, even the ones that like I had in my program, I never saw like comment on my stuff. There was like a few that did, but I was like, this is brand new. I didn't even know you were following me, because they might just like something and move on, but they're watching. It doesn't mean that people aren't watching your stuff just because they're not engaging. And it's just, engagement's so hard, especially when all you do is organic social media management. Like you just can't expect like this insane engagement rate for everything you post. And on the other side of it too, I always see social media managers being like, well, my strategy is like, just see what works, put out a bunch of different content and do more of what's working. And I disagree, and I agree with that a little bit, because I'm like, okay, so you're going to look at what's working. What does what's working mean? Like, is it engagement rate? Is it reach? Is it conversions? Is it conversations? Like, what does that mean to you? But at the end of the day, it's like, whatever got you the most engagement, are you just now just going to stick to only doing that? Like, imagine only posting funny reels on your client's page. Like, it just wouldn't make sense, and it wouldn't convert anyone, because it needs that different content. Like, even if it's not the highest like engagement rate on it, might be your highest conversion rate, might be your highest bookings for that month.
Right.
Like, I think, like you said, every content serves its different purpose, but you can't just be like, just do what's working and skip the rest of it. It's like, no, you have to have a strategy and follow that. It's not just what's highest performing, what's going to give me the most views or engagement rate. Like, that's not how social media works.
Right. And I love that you said something about silent buyers too, because when you think about it, if you're posting something that's like, you know, half off your first month of membership, I don't really care if you comment or like on that post. I care about if you go click on the link to get to it. And that's all I can hope for, is that you even just skipped right over like any interaction on that post and went right to our link. So it's just, there's so many people that are ready and take that step, but they might not like leave anything on the actual post. And then, oh my God, I had something else that I was going to say, like in response to something that you said, and now it's completely gone out of my brain. She gone. That was fun. I watched it fly right away.
Oh, she went.
She gone.
Was it people doing only what works best, or like what they see performing the best?
Yes. Yep. It was exactly that, and it was because there's an account that I have in mind that I'm gonna brain like telepathically tell you what this is, and we watched this business's content go from being like really good to being like only memes, and we were like, what is this? Like, it was so weird, but we could tell that the person running their socials saw that a couple memes and like pop culture references did really well, so that became their entire strategy. And then eventually you lost me at caring about you or your content because I personally wasn't there for the memes. And this like kind of goes with this, and it might like transition us into another hot take, but I think I've said this to you before. I don't love or really agree with when people are like posting on their story a poll or a question box being like, what type of content do you want to see from me?
Yeah.
Because don't get me wrong, I want to take into consideration the people who are here supporting me and what I could produce that would help you the most. But I feel like sometimes when you get too caught up in asking for the opinions of your audience, you're losing what you actually want to make content about. And I kind of feel like that might have been a little of what happened with that account too, was they, again, like they just were really listening to their audience, that like the memes and the pop culture references were working. But then it eventually got too far into that and became kind of this like...
They barely were.
Yeah. Like
there was like nothing anymore. I'm like, no one's even engaging with this or like cares about this. And I mean, I've made a post like this too. I'm like, no Barbie trend or meme is going to fix your broken strategy.
Yes.
Like, that was the title of my post because it's so fucking true. No one's going to remember that little trend you did or that little meme that you posted. Like, I'm going to remember if you sat down and made a video and it was like a face on you speaking about your business, your story. Like, that's what I'm going to remember about the business. And I'm also going to remember people using the product, like physically, what is that doing to add to their life?
Yes.
And how is it going to change my life if I'm going to use it? But I'm not going to remember your stupid freaking meme from 5 months ago.
Barbie.
Like, that's not going to... Yeah, I'm like, great, you got your clout for
right, your 5 seconds of Barbie fame.
Like, seriously, congrats. But like, then what? Is it doing anything for you? No, you're just a meme account at this point, which is embarrassing for a business.
Yeah, and that's what I feel like happened with them, was like they just leaned too far into the memes and the funny and the pop culture that, one, it became overdone, and two, it lost interest very quickly because they were like a once in a while kind of thing, so people looked forward to them. And then once they started coming consistently, it was a quality versus quantity thing. Like, it just eventually became too many and too much of a good thing. I think it's just really important to know. Oh, the other thing too is not everybody is seeing your post every time you post it. So even if you're posting your promotional content and it's getting what you would consider low engagement, the next time you post it, it could get 10 new people to see it or 10 new people to like it. Like, it's never... I know it can like almost feel defeating, or like you don't want to even post it when you post it once and don't get a ton of feedback, but it's... I'm this way. Like, I'll watch, I mean, my injector, for example, I literally watch her post before and afters all day, every day. And for some reason, there's just always one that is the one that I see that I'm like, you're so right. I need to book like right now. And I go book right now.
Yeah.
But I'll see them all day, every day. So it's like, don't ever be afraid to repeat yourself.
Repeat yourself.
Like,
because that's how people remember you.
mm-hmm.
Like, if I'm constantly seeing something about your service or your product, and there's like a statistic, I think it's like 1 in every 6 posts your followers actually see from you.
Mm-hmm.
So to you, yes, you're seeing it all the time. And I literally just had this conversation with one of my clients because they're like, I just feel like it's repetitive, us constantly like saying this one thing. And I'm like, to you.
Yeah.
And like, it's supposed to feel that way. It's supposed to feel so fucking repetitive that you're sick of even talking about it. But it's not to your audience because 1 out of 6 times they're seeing it. They're not seeing every single thing you post unless they have your notifications turned on, which like slay. But most people don't. And they are not going to see it because first of all, the algorithm, all the people that they follow, the ads that are being pushed to them, like they're not seeing every single post, even from their friends anymore. Like that's just how it is, unless you're on like those following lists and
Yeah, I don't have time for
you have the
that.
notification. But like, yeah, it should feel repetitive, but that's how your messaging should be. Like you shouldn't feel like people are going to be sick of it because most of the time they're not seeing it every time. You could post it 6 times in 1 week and I bet they only see it once. Like you said,
Right.
that like one picture that sticks out to you. And like think about how many other people these people follow. You run your own page or like you're a social media manager for one page. Like think about all of the people that they follow. That's not just your page. It's not like they're only seeing your content, you
Right.
know?
And it's
So I wouldn't-
easy for
I
us
wouldn't
to
be
feel
afraid
like
to
that
post.
because
Yeah.
we see our own content. And especially for clients too, you know, I have definitely had people being like, that's repetitive. Like, don't put that at the end of every caption. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not putting like a hard call to action at the end of everything being like, sign up for next whatever. It's usually a
Yeah.
little more like flows into it. And I'm always torn with that too because I'm like, people aren't dumb. Like at this point, everybody knows
Yeah.
that the link is in your bio. But again, it might be that one time of reading it to be like, yeah, I'm going to go book this. And I'm like looking through our list right now of the other things, and we should have moved this one to next. But another hot take that we had on here was posting consistently, even with amazing content. But the one thing that they're missing is the personality of it. And I feel like that kind of ties into this with, you know, you could be the most consistent poster ever. You could be using a high quality camera. You could have crazy engagement, but
Yeah.
there's going to be that one thing that's missing, and it's you and it's your personality. And that's why, like, I love, you know, the B-roll with text on top. It's a great tip. Not usually going to be what converts to anything. And the example that I had on here was I can follow any person, any guy, any girl, whoever on Instagram who's posting their workouts every day.
Yeah.
Why would I want to follow yours? Like, what makes yours different? Are
Exactly.
you being funny? Are you telling me the reason behind things? Like, just posting, I don't know, I always go back to like the fitness world as examples just because it's what I worked in for so long, but like just showing, you know, these are the 5 exercises that I did today and this is how many reps I did. Anybody can post that. Like anybody, even with no experience, can post that.
Yeah.
But there's going to be something about you adding your personality to things that's going to make you stand out.
Yeah, and we talked about this even on the episode with Brie. Like, it doesn't have to be you sitting down and talking to the camera. Like, it doesn't need to be even of you. You can do this by your, like, brand voice. Like, you can tell that it's Brie talking with her content, and all she posts is, like, text carousels, and she doesn't have to post reels. So, like, when people's excuses like, I don't want to get on camera, I don't want to do this, I don't want to do that, you can figure out whatever works and get your message across by telling your own personal story. And it goes back to, like, storytelling. But so many people are just like, yeah, just do B-roll. It's so easy. And, like, you can bang out 20 videos in 1 week by just filming B-roll. And it's like, yeah, we all do the B-roll thing, but that's not your whole strategy or like
Right.
what's gonna get you to. And they're like, I gained so many followers. Like, there's one person and they're like, I just gained 2,000 followers or 3,000, and every single week they're
Okay.
gaining like 1,000 followers. And I'm like, yeah, because all you're doing is using stock videos for
Right.
reels that are 4 to 5 seconds long. You're telling people to read the caption, which obviously while they're reading, it's playing over and over. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, this isn't like fair views or fair following. Like, they don't give a shit about you,
No,
like, at all.
and it's so funny too because like anytime I see the reels that are like, here's how I gained X amount of followers, here's how I gained, got X amount of views, it's like such an unfair playing field because you are saying, follow me and I'll teach you how to get more followers.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something that like everybody wants to know, like there's some secret to, and there's just not. Like it really just comes down to being
Yeah.
in your personality. But do you know what I mean? Like it's just not a fair like comparison when you're posting
Mm-hmm.
content that's like, here's a tip and trick and hack to get all of these followers and blah blah blah. It's not fair to use that as the selling point. I don't know. I
No.
feel like that doesn't make a lot of sense the way I'm explaining it, but I feel like hopefully you and everybody else knows what I'm trying to say.
What are you giving to people? Like, what kind of, I hate to use the word value, but like,
It's true though.
what are you teaching people? What are you showcasing of your talent when you're literally just, anyone can fucking grab all these stock photos and
Yeah.
just throw them up, and it's easy. Or like B-roll content, like it's easy, but you're all about the quantity versus the quality.
Yes.
Like there's such low effort. And if you're like happy just seeing your little green results of your analytics, like great, but it's not translating into anything else other than those analytics. And
Right.
if that's like where you find your success, great, but that's not going to pay the bills.
I have two things that I want to say about this. I love seeing the screenshot of the green analytics. Okay. Definitely a selling point. Obviously, what
Yeah.
potential clients want to see. But I want to point out two things about them. One of them being how easy they are to fake or to use old screenshots or to literally make sure they're not truthful or
Make them
to
up.
make them up. It's easy to crop them a certain way. And the other thing that I want to point out is I love when people don't look close enough at the numbers that they're actually sharing. And I want to preface this by saying there is no number that's considered low or anything. But what I love is like I'll see a screenshot and it's like plus 1,057% followers this week.
Yeah.
But it's like 3 total followers.
3. Yeah, I was
Like-
looking at 3.
But 3 is 1,057% more than you got last week because you got like maybe you deleted like 20 followers last week. You know what I mean? Like it's just really important. Like I get
understand.
they don't
what
really
means,
understand
like,
what
these
it
analytics
means. Yes.
I
and
just see
that's
green.
you exactly. Like you see green, and it's good. Don't
Yeah.
get me wrong. Like I will take
Yeah.
3 over 0, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's really easy for people to only see that number that's written in green and not actually take into consideration anything else that happened. The other thing too is, and I didn't even really know this because I don't work with a lot of people that use paid ads. Like organic social is a lot of, their marketing. I didn't realize that in your total reach on Instagram, if you run ads through Meta, it includes the ad
Counts.
reach. Yes.
Oh.
So like when you're
Interesting.
seeing like, 2 million people reached, it's like, well, 1.5 million of that could be from $5,000 in ad spend. And
Right.
I didn't realize that until I worked with people who used Meta ads. But there's just little things that, again, just make sure you're paying like very close attention to either what you're sharing, or if you're a business owner watching this and you follow social media managers, like just really pay attention to what the actual numbers are and don't just get lost in the green, because yes, green is usually great.
But like we've also said, like we don't even look at that to determine
No,
our quality of work or like
correct.
what we can offer a client. It's like, I don't want to see your green results. I want to see you maybe talk about what you did for the client, how you got them 10 conversations this month because
Yeah.
of like this post, or like what did you do for our social media strategy for them. Like again, it's lazy content where you're just throwing up your results and hoping that something converts from that, when also clients have no freaking idea what any of that means.
No.
Like, analytics don't make sense to clients. It makes sense to other social media managers. So I'm sure you're probably getting a lot of social media managers that are like, yes, amazing, like, great job. But that's not your target audience. Like, clients have no idea. You have to explain what each analytic means. And, like, yes, while they see green, they're like, oh, I don't really get it, though. Like, what am I? Is this, like, average? Is this above average? Like, I've had clients recently who are like, okay, what does this number mean? Like, is that average? Is this, like, the trajectory of the growth you usually see within the first 3 months? Like, it's just they don't understand that. So for you to post that, I don't even think is worth it, like, worth the time. I'd rather see you actually show what those results were and what it did for the business instead of just your green screenshot. You know, it's just, again, easy, lazy content. Sorry.
I mean, I agree. And, like, I think there's a time and a place for them. I don't think they're completely unnecessary.
I've done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I usually do it around the first of the month when I do, like, a big analytic report for my clients, and I'll see something that I'm like, oh shit, like, that is kind of cool. Like, we should celebrate that. But it's exactly like you said, unless you're well versed in what all of those numbers mean. Like, there are social media managers who don't know the difference between reach and impression. Like, it's not fair, especially when you're using that as, you know, I see a lot of people who are like, oh, look at the results that I got for my clients. I'll teach you how to work with your clients the same way. That's when it bothers me when people use them. Yeah. And again, I don't think that there's any win that's too small to celebrate. If you open your analytics right now and see plus 1,057% for gaining 3 followers, I fucking love that for you. But what I can't stand is when people are using those analytics in a way that they shouldn't be used. And also, it's so easy to fake them. Like, literally, all you have to do is screenshot it and put it in Canva and put different text over it. Like, it's not hard.
No. It's so easy. I don't know. I've just, like, never resonated with... Not never. As of recent, I haven't resonated with it. Because I used to do that, too. I'm like, oh, like, this will get me, like, clients, whatever. But I've just realized that no clients come from that. Like, they don't look at that and they're like, oh, my God, I want that. They don't understand it. So, if anything, it's gotten me a lot of praise with other social media managers. Yeah. But...
not like an influx in clients. No, and when I think, like, social media managers, write this down. One of the best ways that I have found and that personally works for me to see an increase in, like, businesses specifically reaching out. I mean, I haven't been in a place anytime recently where I'm, like, asking for new inquiries, but regardless if there's, like, numbers or even pictures to go with it, just saying, you know, I work with this client, and I know this can be hard too because you're kind of just taking somebody's word for it, but even just seeing somebody explain it makes me feel better when they're like, okay, we took this account, they were struggling with this, this, and this, we focused on this, we created this type of strategy, we started incorporating this type of content. Like, if you can tell me step by step, and I don't necessarily mean like every single step, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Like, if you can tell me...
I just got a client doing that a few months ago. My jewelry client came because I made a video about my other jewelry client and what I did. And the steps of, like, this is where they were. This is the strategy. This is what we did.
Amazing.
These were the results. Then I'm like, great. I can see your green and, like, that it worked. That is where, like, the storytelling aspect comes into it. It's like, well, how are you different than any other social media manager showing me screenshots of green results? Like, what are you actually doing? Or, like, even sharing the content that you created, like sharing the reel or the post or like your copywriting or whatever you're proud of. Like, I think that showcases your work way more than any, like, screenshot of green results does.
I'm so always,
like you said, it's not like don't do it, but
no, there's better ways in my opinion.
Noticed I don't get any leads if I post a screenshot.
I'm so bad about sharing my clients' content, and it's not because I'm not proud of it or because I don't want to, but it's because I'm scared other social media managers will go look at it and be like, this isn't even good. Like, not that I think that at all, but, like, I'm always so scared, like, to tag any of my clients.
And this has happened before with social media managers that have followed me. Like, if I share my client stuff, they'll go and DM
that account. I get
and try to
scared for
steal the
that.
client. So
Yes.
yeah, so honestly, like it's tough. I'll
Mm-hmm.
still do it like sometimes, but yeah, it's tough because some people obviously don't have your best interest and they're
Well,
like,
that's
"Oh,
why,
let me just swoop in and see if I could get it
right.
cheaper or something and
Like
get
I
them." I
always
don't know.
think, yeah, I always think about like you and Gabby comment on one of my clients a lot, like one specific
They're probably like
client.
these social media managers are
And
trying to like steal
yeah,
us.
I always wonder if anybody like sees your guys'
This
handles.
content sucks.
Yes, and is like, I wonder if they're like trying to poach them. Like, meanwhile, they don't know behind the scenes,
Yeah.
like two of my best friends. I always think that. I mean, my
Yes.
clients know, like, I've told them, I'm like, these are my friends.
Right.
Like, they just comment to be nice. Like, it's so funny. But like, I
These are
always,
my girls.
these are my girls. But I always wonder if somebody else sees that and is like, are
I
these
know.
people trying to like poach them? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. It just cracks me up when I see other social media managers like DMing
I
my
know.
clients. And I respond back and I'm like, we have a social media manager. Thanks. Dash social media
I mean,
manager.
that literally just happened to me with the client that I let go. And I feel like I couldn't really talk about it before, but I'll like kind of talk about it now. I
Yeah,
found
do it.
DMs in one of my clients' accounts talking to another social media manager. And there's like a
Like
lot
you
of,
wouldn't see it.
right. And there's a lot of backstory that comes with this. Like, this client never gave me content. We used to have content shoots built into our package, and then they asked to go down. And a part of me is like weird about sharing that because I'm like, well, fuck, did I do something wrong? Like, did they not like the content? But it wasn't that. It was they became obsessed with ChatGPT. They became obsessed with doing things in the fastest way
An
possible.
understatement.
Like an understatement. Like they would erase the captions that I took like a long time and like a lot of thought process, and like our content went from like getting good engagement to not getting good engagement. And I'm like, it's because you're changing everything, fucking ChatGPT. But the final straw for me was, we were in Dallas when it happened, and like I got a notification like
Yeah.
this social media marketing manager, blah blah
Like
blah.
three of them.
Yeah, I was like, this is weird. And then, I had been texting them all week with no response.
Asking for content. No
Yes.
response.
And like
Asking
that,
for everything. No response.
right. And they were a client that like honestly I should have let go a long time ago because of that
Yes.
reason, but I was willing to make it work the best that I could. But then it was literally like one door closed and quite literally three
Reopened?
more opened. Yeah. Like it was
Yes.
insane. Like the same day I signed.
And I remember even saying that to you. I'm like,
Yeah.
you will literally like triple this if you let this person go because you're going to be spending so much less energy on that and
Yes.
putting it into something you're actually passionate about and like somebody you actually want to work with. And literally that all unfolded while we
So
were there.
wild. It was
Like, it was
so
like a
weird.
sign. It was like, oh, it's time.
Yeah.
Here you go. Like literally on a silver
Yeah.
platter. It was like, hi, here you go. All
It
these
was so
opportunities,
wild.
which not to say that always happens every time you let go of a client. I mean,
But
I
it
lost two
kind of
clients
does.
this past year.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, like a few months later, it didn't happen for me right away. Like
Yeah.
I literally had 4 clients and now I'm about to have 6.
Mm-hmm.
And I struggled a lot for a few months this summer and I had a very slow summer, but I also looked at it like whatever opportunity is supposed to come to me will, and like
Mm-hmm.
I manifested the shit out of my clients that
Yeah.
I'm getting right now, and I'm like, I literally asked for this. Like I said it out loud constantly, and like we talked, this is a whole other like manifestation
Yeah.
thing, but I'm just saying, like, you let go of the clients that are no longer serving you or make sense for you, and literally better opportunities come along, and that's always
Yeah.
been the case for me too.
Yeah. It's
And
just
like now we don't
crazy.
have any clients that like drive us insane or
No.
like
And it's so funny too, like even looking back on that situation with that client, like one, I felt like a hypocrite where I was like, if somebody were to come to me and tell me this was their situation, I would be like, why are you even hesitating? You need to let them go. But I had this like strong emotional connection to them because I worked with them for over 3 years. And that was the other thing where I was like, okay, I know for a fact I'm not the problem because for the last 2.5 years, our content's been amazing. Engagement's been great. They let me, do what I needed to do to make that happen. And then all of a sudden, and I could even tell, like, while I was in their account, like, if I just scrolled on their Reels page, like, the only Reels that came up were people being like, use ChatGPT to make 30 pieces of content in
Yeah.
one day. Like, I could just tell what was like infiltrating their minds. And eventually it became, well, why are we paying you this price when I could pay somebody $250 and they can make me 30 pieces of content using ChatGPT? And I'm like, okay, like go for it.
And
But
you'll get that amount of services.
yes.
Trust.
And yes. And that was why I like, I don't know. I'm not one to say like, I'm not the problem, but like I was not the problem in that situation. And I bent over backwards for a very long time.
I literally had just had the same thing happen. Literally the same thing, like worked together for 3 years and it sucked to stop working together, but like it's 3 years and the price didn't go up. So the services had to go down. And at that point, it just didn't make sense for us to continue when my business is growing. And like, again, I wasn't getting content. And if you're not paying for me to go to content shoots and like do all of this, it is more responsibility on you as a client. And they're not willing to do that, but also not willing to pay. So it's like one has to give. So it's hard letting go of clients you've been with for a long time, especially like if they're paying a lot. Like
I was just going to say
on the lowest package that I had. So I didn't like feel that it made that big of a difference financially in my life. But when they're like on a big package, that's really hard to let go and just be like, well, I don't have anyone on a wait list. So it's like, do I wait until something new pops up and then let them go? And I feel like there's never going to be a perfect time, but yeah, I'm just glad that you're done with that.
Same. Like, I'm glad I'm done checking content and seeing that all of my captions have been erased and replaced by ChatGPT. And like, not to toot my own fucking
horn,
even,
but
like
proud of it either.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I would never. I never even like tagged them in anything, and that's like again, kind of going back. Like, I'm always a little nervous to tag my clients just because I'm scared of like, I don't know, either other social media managers like thinking that they could do it better, or like. Yeah, I mean, it's like it's a bad mindset to be in, and I think
what anyone thinks.
And like the only reason that I like beeped them out of the episode from last week, technically, the only reason I did that is like, again, my clients didn't ask to be on my podcast. Like I didn't ask them for permission to like talk about everything with them, and that's the only reason I'm like very, I don't know, not even like secretive most of the time, but I just don't love like putting their stuff on blast, or even like, I don't know, I have, not so much now, but like I've had a client in the past who really didn't want other people to know that they had somebody doing their social media for them. And I feel like a lot of people might take offense to that a little bit, but I was personally okay with it because I wanted people to think that it was her that they were having the conversation with, and her coming up with all these ideas. And like, it never hurt my feelings to be like, like, I wish people knew that she hired me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just never been something that I like take offense to if people aren't willing to say. But the biggest compliment is when people do say it. Like when my client the other day like posted my thing on their story saying happy birthday, I was like, you guys, like, first of all, I hope people don't think that I did this myself, but also like,
happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to our social media manager. And I'm like, people probably think that I posted that myself, which I would never do because they don't know me.
That
absolutely,
they would know that they're also have a login and like are able to post some things. But I also sometimes hate when like you do see a client posting something, but then people think it's you. And
I know, and I'm like, don't think that was my work. Yeah,
I'm like, that wasn't me. Or like, even when you stop working with a client, that's my biggest thing. Is like, if other people are following that account and then you stop working with them, and then the content goes to shit. Like with that client, the content is awful, and I'm like, are people still thinking this is me? Like, I really hope they don't. And
I
they
feel
realize that like it's not me anymore.
Yes, and it's funny because
really
like I was just about to say, you know, looking at it, it's pretty easy to tell, you know, that it's not.
Wait, going back to the analytics part of it, because we didn't even bring this up, but there's such a big difference between posting your personal page or like your own Instagram results versus a business with different niches. Like, we constantly see people say you're like an influencer or whatever, like you have your own page and you're posting these results on your page acting as if it's a client. It's like, that's
literally
not
makes me want to give myself a lobotomy.
You're not a business. I mean, it would literally be like me posting our podcast, like social media results, and me being like, my client, and like, yes, in a way I do think the podcast is a client
Yes.
because we're like treating it that way. Like we post consistently, we're uploading, we're doing the things that a social media manager does. And
Yes.
it's technically a client, but
It's
not.
not.
I'm like our podcast is not our client, and like I'm not going to post the results from my podcast unless I disclose it and being like, okay, this is like
Yes.
podcast results. Like if I'm looking to take on other podcasts or like other influencers, if I'm like an influencer and I'm posting that and you're looking to work with other influencers, makes complete sense to be like, this is what I did for my account, I could do it for yours. This is what I did for my podcast account, this is what I could do for yours. But it doesn't make sense to try to attract brands and social media management clients if you're going to do that. Like it just it's so weird that people do that.
I think what prompted us to put this on the list was I saw a social media manager saying, you know, grow your own account and then use those results in your portfolio. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I think there's a lot of skills from growing your own account that will transfer over to doing it for different niches and stuff.
Yeah.
But if you only have experience with growing your own personal brand, especially as a social media manager, when all of your content talks about how to get more followers, even though you've never actually done that, but people want that information, so they'll follow you for it.
Yeah.
A little clickbaity if you ask me, but that's neither here nor there. It's not fair to say that you could do that for somebody else unless that somebody else is also a personal brand in a coaching setting. Do you know what I mean? I'm having trouble with words today, I feel like.
No, you're making sense to me, baby.
That's all that matters. This is just a private conversation between the two of us.
Literally. Yeah. No, we just talked about this. This girl who is a social media manager. Okay, so that person does social media for this company, but it's the only client, and she's only ever grown her own personal page. So it's like, or not grown even, like you just have your own personal page, and her page looks great because it's like her life and like beautiful aesthetic, but then the business's page
is so
and this,
bad.
Again, goes back to like other social media managers thinking that your content's not good, but no, this like is actually not good. Like it's bad. It's all graphic-y and like chat GPT, and it's just it's
no
not
hashtags.
It's not good. I'm just gonna say it. No, I'm just gonna say it. It's not fucking good, and
it's not.
Whatever. If I'm judgy for that, fine, but like, that is the perfect example of you have your own account. It's beautiful. It's aesthetic. It's like your entire life and you're an influencer, whatever. But then you have the client account and it's absolute shit because it's not the same niche at all. You can't. And just because you're good at your own account doesn't mean you're going to be at like, say, a gym. Like it doesn't make sense.
Right. It's very different. And it's hard too because like I always say, I'm like, you don't really need to like only work with one specific type of business. Like I truly in my heart don't believe that. I don't think that you have to choose a niche. No, me either. I don't work with any of the same clients at all.
Nope.
And I never really have.
Me either.
But there are some benefits to that. Like there are some benefits to being a social media manager only for gyms, only for restaurants. Like there are some benefits to that, just because it is easy for you to be like, well, you know, this is what I did for these other restaurants or these other gyms. But I think as long as you can put yourself in, you know, the mindset of the business that you're working with, you don't have to only work with that type. And there's also a lot of like strategies and tactics. And when I say tactics, I should say like process. Let me say processes instead of tactics. That are transferable. Like the process of creating content, the process of posting consistently, the process of a lot of these different things are the same, but the actual like nitty gritty of what you're creating content about is very different from a personal brand to, again, the gym example. Like it's very different, and it's very evident when aesthetics are the only thing that you're good at. Is that fucked up to say?
Pretty post.
Yeah.
But a pretty post is not going to get you anything.
No.
Like not anyone, but a few people can make
a lot of people
a feed look good. But even, like the feed doesn't even look good.
No, the feed on that one is so bad. It gives me such bad anxiety. And that business told me that I was too expensive 3 years ago. So I can only imagine what they're paying her now.
How much that person's going to pay. Yeah.
You pay for what
Well,
you get, or you
on
get what
that
you pay for.
topic of paying, is this is what I just made the TikTok about, because I have seen an influx of people saying this, and this has been since the beginning of like me starting my business. Like, this has been a thing for a long time, but I've seen like an influx of it now, is people saying that they quit their job, their corporate job, like whatever they were doing full time, after a month, 2 months, 3 months, even 6 months. I'm like, and not to say that that's not possible. Like, I took my business full time after doing it for 3 months while I was working 4 other side jobs. But when I took it full time, like, I had a full client roster, but I was still picking up waitressing shifts. I was still picking up babysitting shifts because I didn't have enough income, even though I was full time, because you're not charging high prices. I was starting at like $450 a month, I think. And I had like 4 clients. So like, to me, it was full time because I was making what I was making at those 4 jobs. But I'm like, it's just not enough to feel like secure, because I didn't have parents' savings. Well, I had savings, but not enough to last me like 6 months to a year. I didn't have a significant other that could financially support me. And this is what is making me mad, is because when I see these people saying that they quit their corporate jobs or whatever, and they went full on in their business, and now they're making all this money and they live the life that they want, and they're selling you this dream life, there's always a catch, that they're trying to either book you on a call to show you how to do this yourself, to get you into a course, to get you as a client, whatever it may be. It isn't just to inspire you to do something, because like I said in my video, anyone can fucking do this. Yes, literally anybody can do this and like start out with nothing. But what these people don't tell you is that they are being supported financially heavily by either significant others or parents, or either they are working other jobs and they're just not telling you that. But I'm sorry, there's like no possible way that you're going to quit your job and only be making like $450 off a client, or like even $1,000 a client. Like, in this economy, the cost of living, like, you just looked this up too. $2,500 to $3,500.
I was like, we
a
need
month.
to come with facts. Like, I need to know. And that's obviously like very, it
Generic,
depends.
yeah.
Yes, it's very generic. It's a very broad number, but I think at the end of the day, it's a pretty good range to kind of like compare all of this to, because there are people like, don't get me wrong, if you're making $1,000 a month in your business, like, that's fucking sick. Like, you should absolutely be proud of that. But that's not going to support you financially full time, especially if you have kids or like student loan debt.
Dogs,
like, it's
a home, anything. Like, all of the expenses that you have, like groceries, a home, children, dogs, like everything you have to run a business. Like, they also don't talk about the cost of starting a business. Like,
oh, it's
all
free.
of your expenses. And then what happens if you lose a client and then you don't have that income? Are you still able to say that you're going to be full time in your business without any support? And it, honestly, this isn't to say like people who have that support, because I didn't. Like, I had a single mom. I had to do everything myself. Have a significant other who is not financially supporting me, and I don't expect that. But I'm just saying, like, I'm not looking down on people who have that support, or like who are able to do that. That is so amazing. I'm just looking down on it because there's like the lie where, or either like not including it. So you're not lying, but you're not including how you got there.
You're
it's like,
lying by
if
omission.
you straight up look, like if you were like, I got to take my business full time after 2 months and quit my corporate job because I realized I wasn't going to be happy in it. And my wife, my husband, my mom supported me for a year until I could get my business up and running on my own. Like, I would respect you so much fucking more and be like, that is amazing that you have somebody in your life that is able to support you in that way, because I didn't. But like, don't not say that if you're going to be making all this content surrounding the way you left your job and started a business, because that's not the fucking reality of being an entrepreneur.
And it's not fair to use that as a selling point, to be like, I was able to quit my job in a month, and it's like,
and you can do it too, and like dream big, and you can do whatever you want to do. It's like, I understand the positivity and I love it, and yes, you can do everything, but what comes with that. Like, just be honest, because I guarantee if you didn't have that support, you didn't have your parents, your significant other, you wouldn't have taken your business full time, probably for a year or two, because you didn't have that support and couldn't financially do it on your own. And like, that's fine. And you don't expect that. Like, I never expect anyone to take their business full time in a certain amount of time, like, ever. I just wish people were honest, and it sucks with social media because it's so easy to fall into that trap of like, oh shit, this person did it. Like, I'm working, I'm busting my ass in my business. Why can't I take it full time? I'm not making enough money. Like, how did they do this? And they're like, book a call and I'll teach you.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to say? Just show up every day and post? That's
because
what I did.
Also,
like, no.
Spoiler alert, I promise you that a lot of your favorite influencers or even social media managers are in a lot of credit card debt. Like, I promise you that so many of them are paying for these big, nice white homes either with their parents' money, and then they're furnishing it on their credit cards. Like, and I am not saying this like talk shit, like, your girl loves a good credit card purchase, but it's just so unfair. Like, we just talked about this, and it was geared more towards like influencers in general, but it's like, so many people think, like Alex Earl, for example, and I know I've defended her in the past where I'm like, she didn't blow up overnight. Like, she put a lot of work into this, and she did.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong, there are so many privileged things that she creates content about that only happens because of the money that she had prior to becoming who she is
Going
today.
on a yacht, like, that's not reality for people.
But the thing is she was already doing that because her family had a lot of money. Yes. And that's what helped to grow, you know, the fame and the appeal. But, like, do not tell me Alex Earl is relatable. That I will never agree on. Right. Relatable? I'm not relatable hearing her story getting picked up in a helicopter on a first date. Sorry, because I don't date NFL players. Hey, Benny. Benny's like, okay, guys. Okay, guys, you've bitched enough.
No, it's true, though. And, like, everything you see on social media, please take it with a grain of salt, because we've seen so many of these instances where people post one thing, but it's something else behind the scenes. They're DMing us about something, and then they're posting that they're working for themselves full time, but they were just in our DMs saying that they're in their corporate 9-to-5 and they make no money, and then they're selling you a course, and you're like, what is literally going on? Like, I don't trust anyone anymore, and that's why.
And it sucks because I
don't even scroll my feed anymore.
No, I really don't
like,
either.
Over it, because I swear no one's telling the truth anymore, or like they're just sugarcoating it or telling these little white lies to make their content seem better and seem aesthetic and relatable. And I'm like,
and it's weird when we know the truth. Like, it's weird. It's
so weird.
It puts us, and that's why I was going to say, like, disclaimer, we're never saying this like, oh, we see people do this and we see this person do this. We're never like intentionally being cryptic with that. Like, if it wouldn't make me sound like the biggest cunt right now, I would say the name of every single person I have a problem with that does this. But it's not worth it. And it's I don't even think it would be worth it for, you know, us to be like, oh, DM us and we'll tell you privately. Like, because I don't want it to sound like I'm talking shit about this specific person. We're not talking shit. We're just stating facts, as we determined a few episodes ago.
Exactly.
But if
you're doing this, you know you're doing this, unless you're so fucking oblivious to think that
you're not
everyone's gonna buy into it. But like, I don't know how some people can just blatantly not even lie, but just like exclude the truth, like not even mention it. Like, I could sit here and say I took my business full time in 3-4 months, and I quit all of my jobs, and I was fine, and I'll teach you how to do it too. And it's like, I could easily do that, but like, that's not the reality. Say like Mark was helping me, or was like, hey, you can quit your like 4 jobs. I will pay for everything, and like, you just focus on doing your business. Like, that would be amazing, but there's no way in hell that I wouldn't be like, all the credit goes to him for like
100%
allowing me to do that. Like, thank you for letting me do that. But like, I would straight up praise that and be like, oh my God, what a supportive like significant other,
Yes.
what a amazing parent you have to like lend you the money or like support you so you don't have to worry about that. But then when people are like, how are you doing that, or like, how did you get
I
there, and
show
it's
up
like,
every
i
day.
just worked I just worked so fucking
Like, no,
hard,
you
and
didn't.
like clients just came to me because I posted every day, and it's like, that is not how it fucking happens. Like,
No,
it doesn't just.
it
And
doesn't
then all
happen
these
like
other
that.
people are posting every day and they're like putting their all into their business, and they can't take it full time because they have nobody. Like,
Yeah, it's very frustrating. Again, especially when we
so
see it happening
frustrating.
like directly. Like when people are like, "Oh, learn how to quit your
Yeah.
9 to 5," and then DMing you or me that they don't even make enough in their business to pay their bills. Like,
Yeah.
and again, I'm not judging you for that. Like, I would never look at somebody and be like, "Oh my God, like you don't even make enough to pay all of your bills." Because like
No, it's just you're lying. Like,
yeah, it's
stop
just the
fucking lying.
lying.
And
I
like,
don't like
I
it.
see you. I see it. And it's just so awkward because then, like, to have other conversations with these people and like, or like when they DM you again and they ask you something, like, it takes everything in me not to be like, and I think I'm just going to start being like, why did you post that when you were just asking me about this? Like, I'm just going to start calling people
I
out at
think
this
we
point
should.
because it hasn't stopped. And even like recently I've even gotten DMs of somebody asked me like a question. They're like, I'm just starting out with social media. They asked me like 10 questions. I answered everything. Like, I sent voice memos. I sent like a paragraph just being nice because they followed me and I like didn't follow them back yet. And I sent it read and literally no response. And I'm like, I
I'll
hope
go
that
fuck
helped,
myself.
question mark.
Oh yeah, you
And
did
then
say that.
they unfollowed me, and she just goes, thanks, exclamation. Like, that's it. And I'm like, I just gave you like
So much good
20
free
minutes of my
advice.
time
Uh-huh.
and advice and like everything you need. And I even like sent like free things and like links to stuff that they could buy.
Yep.
And then they unfollowed me, and I'm like, oh, sorry to see you go, but like, I wish you luck. Like,
Yeah, it's so weird.
who in their right mind? Like, that's so weird to do. I don't
I've
know.
also like, I don't know. I want to say I've never done that, but like I probably have unintentionally, but like I've never DM'd another service provider and been like, "Can you answer these 20 questions for me?" and not
Yeah.
given them anything. Like there was a time where I did that to one of my friends who does a lot of email stuff, and I was like, "Listen, like my client isn't in a place to be able to hire somebody, like can we do like a one-on-one and just like ask these questions or whatever?" And she was like, "I don't really have time for that this week, but if you want to just like send me some questions." And I sent the questions, and when she answered, I immediately sent her a $50 Starbucks gift card and was like, "Thank you, like thank you for your time."
Yeah,
Like if
not
you
even a thank you. Like, it's just
That's so
the
fucked up.
thank you came after. I was like, I hope that helped like days later, because I'm like, oh, maybe like some people forget and just genuinely don't remember to respond. And I was like, oh, maybe she just like forgot, which is fine. That's
Right.
why I said I hope that helped. And there was literally like just thanks exclamation and unfollowed
Okay.
me. I'm like, okay,
Rude.
like I think I gave great advice. I didn't just be like, I could have been like, hey, just buy my course or buy my
Yeah,
templates. Like,
exactly.
I could
Book a
have
call.
easily said that, because most people will. They won't
Yeah.
give you anything. They gatekeep and they won't tell you anything. So now I'm like, I want to be able to help people when they DM me and message me, but now I'm like, who's really genuine about like, you
Right.
know?
Yes.
I'm like, no one's genuine. Everyone's fucking lying on social media, and it's just what they want you to see.
Yes. Well, and that's what I was going to go back to too, or like try to emphasize is like, again, like we could sit here and give names. We absolutely could. I
Yeah.
could tell you what accounts are the biggest red flags to me, but what I hope by talking about some of this is that maybe it becomes a little bit easier for you listening to this to pick up on, so
Yeah.
that way we don't have to sound like the assholes that are like this person, this person, this person.
Yeah.
Don't trust them, don't follow them, don't buy anything from them. But once you start seeing it, it's hard to unsee it. And like once you really start paying attention to who is only showing off the amount of money that they make and who is only using these certain things to get your attention, it becomes a little bit easier to pick up on like how slimy a lot of the tactics are. So again, it's not us
Yeah.
ever wanting to like make one person feel or look bad. It's More so that we just hope you start picking up on some of the red flags and can make that decision for yourself.
Yeah, because there's so many people that are dishing out money or booking these calls, and then they get off the calls and they're probably like, oh my God, this person is like nothing like what I thought they were. Or like, how are they just telling me the bare minimum and I'm paying so much money for a course? Or like, it's just so crazy.
It's insane.
Like, and I feel so bad for new and incoming social media managers, and even ones that have been social media managers for a while, that are like, where do I even invest my education into? Like,
right.
It's so sad, and makes me sad to think about like myself when I was first starting, because I didn't like know much, and I didn't know who to like trust, and I didn't buy any courses. I didn't do any of that because I didn't have the financial ability to do that, because they were like thousands of dollars. But then even then they could be so expensive and not teach
actually
you
be anything. I know, and that's what has always made me nervous about like investing in high ticket things. Like a lot of the high ticket things that I've invested in have been things that have nothing to do with actually being a social media manager. Like it's been like a really good accountant, a really good like back end process person. It's been my business lawyer. Like it's been big things that aren't necessarily like, oh, we'll teach you how to be a social media manager. Because like, not that I think everything I do is perfect or great. Like I'm sure there's room for improvement everywhere. But I think one of the best ways that you learn is trial and error for yourself. And there's a lot of other things that you can invest in that aren't just like a course teaching you how to grow to 10K. And, you know, I think one of the best things you can do is like build your foundation and go from there. Which is hard, I know, especially if you're listening to this as somebody who's new and you're like, well, what should I invest in? We're like, you know, I'd love to sit here and tell you about the new thing that Veronica and I are working on and be like, wait until that, invest in that. And it's like, even then, like I still wouldn't even feel right being on here being like, what we created is answering every single problem and blah, blah, blah. And we'll obviously talk more about that. Sorry, I just kind of like spilled beans on that. But
no, I was going to say, like, should we talk about this? Because that's leading into, and like, as much as we're all like courses and programs and don't trust anyone, it's like, you don't have to trust us either.
Yeah, you absolutely
You literally don't.
Nope.
You are your own person. You can very much form your own opinion of, yes.
Yeah,
Benny.
see? Benny's like, trust my mom.
Exactly. That's my opinion. No, but I would hope that from what you hear about the way we speak on these issues, you can kind of develop your own opinion on the things we value and the way that we run our businesses and the marketing tactics that we choose to use in our business. So, yeah, literally form your own opinion. You don't need to buy from fucking anyone or us anything in your entire life. Like, you can literally just keep listening to the podcast and like, we love you.
Yeah, love you so much.
Yes, stay tuned. We are working on something, and I'm not going to say it's the most revolutionary, different, unique, amazing 6K figure fucking you'll become a social media manager in 2 weeks. But
I mean, personally, we think it's pretty fucking good.
Personally,
but
it's fucking amazing. But like, you just wait on it.
Yeah, we'll talk more about it once, probably after the next episode that we do. We'll probably talk a little bit more in depth about it. Maybe even like a whole mini-sode that week, just like explaining what it is. But speaking of the next episode that we do, so next week's episode is going to be a little spooky themed because it'll come out the day before Halloween. Benny's like, let me tell my stories, Mom. Let me on that mic.
Benny's being spooky right now.
Yeah, Benny's possessed by a ghost right now. We will talk about all things spooky, from ghost stories to cult stories to UFOs and paranormal and supernatural and blah, blah, blah. All of the above. If you have any stories that you would like to share with us, specifically ghost stories, we're very interested in getting some ghost stories right now, but we'll take anything. Send them to us, DM them to us at Socially Unfiltered Pod on Instagram, email them to us at sociallyunfilteredpod@gmail.com, and make sure you're keeping up with us there.
We love you.
Love you so much.
Hang with y'all on the gram.
We'll see you over on the gram. Thanks for hanging with us. Love you guys so much. Bye.
Bye.